So Donald Trump appears to be declaring war on American cities. And this is the tweet by the White House with helicopter emojis. They say, from Trump, I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War. And this is like a AI generated poster. It says it's Apocalypse Now, which is a reference to Apocalypse Now, the Vietnam War movie. Helicopters and fire in the background. And this is the American president, like telling American city, this is like Department of War and we're coming for you kind of stuff. I mean, you can literally see it here. Hegseth is out shooting guns. You can see this, your Secretary of War. And this is the messages from the White House. Now, I wanted to show you what they're talking about, because what they don't want you to talk about is the economy, right? And if you want to say Epstein stuff, you can say that as well. That's fine. But I like to talk about the money because I think it matters. Donald Trump's economy falters as U.S. jobs growth grinds to a halt. And unfortunately, I think it's going to get worse. And I'm going to show you some stuff why. This was actually out today. We talked about this before on the channel regarding the mail thing, right? Where talking about postal service, where many countries were basically not sending stuff to the USA anymore. And it turns out it's like really a massive drop right here. Postal traffic to US sank 80%. 80%. Wow. After Trump administration ended exemption on low value parcels, right? So that's the de minimis tax thing. I think it's like goods under 800 were exempt. But now, you know, the tariffs keep changing and there's not a mechanism in place to collect the money, right? Because it's a tax. And many postal operators around the world are just like, I'm not sending to the USA. So traffic is down 80%, which is really a lot. And I have yet to see a full list of all the places that have stopped postal service to the USA. But according to this, it says 88 postal operators suspend services to US over tariffs. So regardless of, you know, what your cultural beliefs and stuff like that are, I can read numbers. like you know, this stuff matters, I think. And if business activity slows, right, people don't have jobs because there's no goods moving around. No one's buying anything. Postal traffic to the United States plunged more than 80% following Washington's imposition of the new tariffs, with 88 operators worldwide fully or partially suspending services, right? It's crazy. The Universal Postal Union said Saturday. And honestly, I didn't even ever heard of this thing before. The Universal Postal Union. Like, we don't ever talk about this stuff because the mail generally works under every president except for Trump. And this is like a total shutdown of business activity. You can see it in the numbers. On top of that, in DC, because I want you guys to know that you're not alone. And I know sometimes you just feel like you're being gaslit every day by the Trumpers, but you're not alone. Other people can see the insanity as well. And in fact, they're taking it to the streets today. So this is in DC. It says a large protest against National Guard troop and federal police in DC is moving toward the White House. And it's a pretty sizable turnout. And again, you guys are not alone. If you can see the craziness happening, other people can see it in DC. They're here in the streets. And this thousands march in DC against Trump's law enforcement takeover. These are some of the views. Stop Trump's takeover of DC. And there's already pushback in Chicago because, again, Trump is threatening to call in the National Guard / military in Chicago. Trump claims Chicago is world's most dangerous city. The 4 most violent ones are all in red states. So you can see for Trump, this is all a political game, right? It's not really about stopping crime. It's just attacking blue states. And so if Trump were really serious about fighting crime, he would go after cities in states in both red and blue. But from Trump's point of view, he's like, I'm just going to go after the blue states. So you can see this is all politically motivated. Now, Trump is basically the divider in chief, as I told you guys before. And already in Chicago, they're just saying, hey, if you're really serious about helping us, you would work with us. So these are the headlines here. How Illinois Democrats are preemptively combating a Chicago crackdown by Trump. And one of the things that was brought up here, I thought that was a good one, was by Mayor Johnson. And so he says, Johnson laid out examples of Chicago working with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives to get guns off the streets. And this is a quote. My question is, why did Trump cut $468 million from the ATF's budget in his nasty signature bill? Why did he cut funding for the agency responsible for getting guns off our streets by almost 30%? And I think Mayor Johnson brings up a good point. Again, if Trump were serious about helping local communities and serious about helping just regular Americans, he'd be working with people to unite the country, not purposely dividing the country, and again, only going after blue states. And then you got this, Trump's war on wind has this construction crew stuck 15 miles out to sea. Like, what the heck is this? Basically, if you don't know, Trump doesn't like wind because Trump represents oil. And this thing is like 80% done. Let me show you a picture here. So essentially, electricity is really expensive in New England. And so they're building these wind turbines. And again, I think they're like 80% done. It was going to supply power to hundreds of thousands of homes and try to bring rates down, right? So jobs for the local area, bringing electricity prices down. And Trump's like, I don't want that. I want us to drill oil. I represent oil. Like the whole thing is so insane. And I also want to give you an idea of how this stuff plays out internationally. So here in Korea, there's multiple parties, but there's a couple major ones, right? And effectively, Trump is now the common enemy. And so it's uniting Korea the same way that because Trump is so bad, it unites other countries around the world against him. That's like how bad Trump is. He's so bad that even people that don't even really like each other that much are joining forces to be like, well, I may not like you that much, but I definitely hate Trump. And you're seeing it here in Korea where, they're calling emergency meetings and how are we going to get our people out. And I'll just say this, guys, that recent raid on Hyundai that Trump is, ordering is basically shooting yourself in the foot. Let's be fairly frank about it, because if you just think about it, and, go to local stores in USA, be it Best Buy or, local car dealerships. I'm just saying, I'm sure a lot of people watching this channel have a Samsung product or LG product in your home. Like these are Korean products. And in Korea, they're already talking about, how can we do business with the USA? Like it's been all of our headlines. How can we send our business people to the USA? How can we, build factories in USA if you're going to treat us like this? This is an actual headline here. It says U.S. raid on Hyundai LG factory called war zone by workers. And these are the images that we're seeing here in Korea. Like they're showing people being chained up. And so if you're a local business person here in Korea, right, and you work for LG, you work for Samsung, again, these are Korean companies, you work for Hyundai, you work for Kia, what is going through your mind? I just want you to put yourself in the shoes of a Korean, or just imagine, for example, Trump decides to raid like a BMW plant or something like that. Like, what do you think people in Germany are going to say? I mean, do you guys understand this stuff? It's all crazy. And, I just want to put it just in human terms. Just imagine if you work for one of these companies and just like, man, I don't want to ever get sent to the USA. No way. I don't want to get handcuffed. I don't want to get thrown on a bus. I don't want to be put in detention centers with barbed wire. Like, what did I do to deserve this? And I was reading through the stuff. It was interesting. They are saying here that LG sent, I guess, electrical workers or something like that. It was like the final touches to finish the factory that was going to open up next year. And even Fox News was saying like this may be 8,000 jobs for Americans. So like essentially they're sending people to hurry the construction of this thing along to give jobs for American people. And I just don't know, like, why is USA shooting itself in the foot? And this sometimes you always wonder is like, is Trump purposely trying to destroy America? I mean, you can see it publicly where he's literally declaring war on American cities. And then the White House will tweet out like this really weird crap. You can see it here. It says, delivering on promises made, Sleepy Joe could never. And Trump is bragging about signing 200 executive orders. Like, it's like bragging about, hey, I'm a dictator. I don't care about courts. I don't care about Congress. Look at all these things I can sign. Look at all these illegal orders. Wow, I'm like the greatest illegal order president in history. And it's like, they are so brazen in their corruption. And I mentioned this in the last video, but I'll just mention it again. They're going to want to host the 2026 G20 conference. You can do it in Miami, and of all places, to say, hey, let's just pick one of my golf clubs to do that, right? Now, usually when people, do this, if you're the president, you shouldn't be profiting off the presidency. And so, like this, there's any number of things you can talk about Trump with, right? And I'm just showing you, multiple ones. This is just today. I mean, wait till tomorrow. And you're always wondering, like, who's running the show? I think there's multiple people behind the scenes. Again, all you have to do with Trump is just give him something gold. It's, oh, I like gold. Put money in his pocket, right? He doesn't have to understand any of this stuff. And then effectively, you got worm tongues everywhere. So there's an article today about how Stephen Miller is one of the worm tongues. I'm sure you guys already know who this dude is. And then there's this one that was just really an interesting one. If you want to read through, I'll just tell you the basic gist of it. Peter Thiel. And this part where it really gets culty and weird, he's giving these private talks about the Antichrist of all things, which is bizarre because, you know, Peter Thiel is connected to Palantir, Elon Musk, all these things all about tracking people and stuff. And if anyone's going to be the Antichrist, right, I'll just say it would be these kind of people, which is strange that he's giving lectures about said things. It's like the Antichrist talking about the Antichrist. So I don't know what to make of it. I mean, I know it's funny, it's sad, it's scary all at the same time. It's also just frankly absurd. But this is sort of where we're at in USA. And as I mentioned before, there's just a lot of desperate people. And in these kind of times, that's when con artists like Trump, who literally used to own casinos, right, and bankrupt said things, but casinos' whole purpose is where, you know, the house always wins. And so why are people following someone where if you go to their establishment, you're going to lose, right? Doesn't everybody know that the house always wins? That's what a casino is. Like you go there as a regular person to lose. And so that's sort of what Trump's setting up America to lose. And, you know, I don't think it has to be like this. I don't think it has to be like this forever. And I think it's important that, again, people are taking to the streets to protest it. And I'm telling you guys, midterms are coming. I know some people get down on that, but I'm telling you, when the market crashes, the economy really sags and jobs aren't there, there's no way Trump can keep this and his, you know, lackeys going forever. I just don't think it's going to happen. So that's my thoughts on this stuff, and I'll catch you on the next video.